it's not a problem. Okay. Indeed.
Today, Barry and I are going to talk about how you can be thankful for your dating experiences, because I think some people would like to forget some of their fasting dating experiences, right?
Yeah, we'll get into that after you do the formal introduction. But yes, we have lots to talk about.
So Barry and I'd like to welcome you to the newsstreamingnetwork.com. This is WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, radio, TV, and podcast #1 internet singles.network. And this is Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. Hi, Barry.
Hi, Christine. The thing I want to say up front, because since this is our Thanksgiving episode, some people may be dealing with a whole different array of challenges with relationship stuff with their family rather than romantic relationships. So hopefully this topic will take you out of that for a moment so we can talk about looking back at this past year. How can you be thankful for your dating performance? So if you can put your family aside just for a few moments whilst we talk about this, it might help you understand what we're talking about.
Well, and one thing we could say is sometimes around the Thanksgiving table, they'll say, so have you been dating, and who is it? And oh my gosh, what happened to that person?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we could come up with some snappy remarks to tell people.
Yes, so hopefully give some clues what to think or focus on so you can have a much more safe conversation with your relatives.
Not end up with indigestion.
Right. So
to continue on that theme.
Yeah.
You know, throughout my life, I have been the person that there has to be something good that comes out of everything. There just has to be. It can't all just be horrible and awful and doom and gloom. So this is such a perfect thing to say. How can you be thankful for every dating experience that you've had? And what did you learn that was really good that you went, oh yeah, I liked that. I want that again. I'm good for me for attracting that person or being with that person, or good for me for being that new person with that person, that I learned to expand myself, to appreciate myself, to be brave and ask for new things, to stretch myself in this way. You know, those are some of the ways that might be a little easier to think positively about a past relationship that you're in, right? Look at you, even smiled about that one.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing was actually what my mum went to, which is a little bit on the darker side of things. Basically, there's a whole quote they talk about in personal growth. It's like, you know, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Yeah. So if you look at that basic about your relationship survival skills, maybe they can use that one. But I want to raise the bar from that. But yes, I agree with you. And this is the thing I want to say, just as a general rule, is that frankly, even if we're single right now, whoever we are, I mean, talking about both us, but also people watching, ideally, you're in a better place now than you were before that past relationship, however long it lasted. I talk a lot about how my journey started in this work of teaching about relationships through a bad breakup I had. So as painful as that breakup was, and it wasn't fun by any means, I have great gratitude for that relationship and for her, even though I haven't seen her since 2007. But because of her insistence, in quotes, it put me on a path that led me to teach the work I do and want to do, wrote my book, everything else. And I don't think any of that would have happened if it hadn't been for that breakup. And so I'm extremely grateful for that painful experience, because it put me on the road to where I am now. And I was talking with, it's funny because about 2 weeks ago, because I know her ex-husband and I became friends because we were in the same sort of circle at the time, and his current wife. And we were talking because they just flew back from their daughter's wedding, which I met when she was 9. And she's now married. And she still looks very young in the picture with her new husband. Both of them look very young. But just that conversation about that journey from where they were to where they are now, I look back and go, yes, 15 or so years ago, more than that now, 18 years ago, that breakup still resonates for me as a lesson that I learned that I take with me. Now, I know not everyone has an experience in relationships, and not every relationship is going to give you those sort of gifts, no matter how painful they are. But you can look back at your past relationships, and I suggest you can find some silver lining or some gratitude for something that happened, even if it was painful or it was dark. If you're out of that relationship, you can be grateful you're out of a relationship, even if it's that basic, as I said earlier. So what can you be grateful for from your dating relationships experience?
And sometimes it takes a little while of reflection to say, oh, now I get the thing I'm grateful for now. Yeah, certainly, I've talked about that. I've been married twice, and my first marriage ended in divorce. And certainly the things I learned is that I really liked being married, even though we were so young, and even though there were so many things about us that were different, and we didn't do a very good job of navigating because we were so young and so different. I really learned a lot about figuring out why I didn't need to stay in that marriage, and that we're still friendly. We talked recently because we had a mutual friend who recently passed away, and he's remarried, and I'd been remarried, and it was such a fun, friendly conversation. And to have somebody that you knew in those formative years, the conversation that you really can't have with anybody else because of what we'd been through together, it was really fun. And to still be friendly was just, I felt proud of both of us, that some people have such rancor that they could never have a friendly conversation again. And it led me on this path that I know he was partly responsible for, that as I dated after being married to him, I believe set me on the path of saying, what more do I need to learn? And how do I need to learn about me so that I could date better? Which then set me on the path to meet and marry my late husband. And then marrying him, I knew I had expanded myself a lot. And then marrying him expanded me in ways that I didn't even know. I knew I expanded myself before him. And then there were ways that I didn't know what I didn't know when I met and married him, that I now know I have to have the next time. So it's really given me so many gifts that I am so thankful for. And certainly having a husband die, I've mentioned this a couple of times, that I thought, oh, there's just never going to be anything good that's going to come out of that, that I now can coach widowed people, that I've gone through that experience, that yes, there can be, even with the most tragic circumstances of losing love, that there can be a positive thing to come out of it. And to say that even though I'm glad I didn't know he was going to die within 5 years of us marrying, I still would have done it, because to have been loved that way and to love somebody, you wouldn't want to give it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. The journey we have in life is so unpredictable, and we don't know where things are going to end up, where they're going to go. So, you can spend your time just hiding in a closet and never doing anything because you're so afraid you might make a mistake or have something go badly. But then the opportunity, like you were saying, to have that such joyful, fulfilling, loving experience, even though it didn't last 25, 30 years, was worth the price of entry, so to speak. And the thing I'm going to say, which John underscores said earlier, is, I want to say it this way. I'm a firm believer is that everything in life is a lesson for us to learn from. We get to grow and become more of ourselves. And the more we're in a healthy relationship with ourselves, the better, frankly. And every relationship reflects that to us. And every breakup reflects that to us as well, because how we deal with everything is how we live life. This thing about one of my master programs about how you relate to the issue is actually the issue. And so if you handle things with grace, if you go through relationships and they're wonderful, but you fully commit to being in them, and if they end, they end, and you don't spend like years in regret or in judgment or in blame, that's a healthy way to live life. So if you've been in several dates that maybe didn't go anywhere this year, and we're talking about this sort of past year as the local reference, the reality is who you are now is more aware, more conscious, maybe more battered by some of the experiences, but ideally more self-supportive than you were at the beginning of the year. If that's the case, those dating experiences you had, I would suggest, contributed to that, in which case you should be grateful for them. Not saying you can't have upset with something that didn't work out well, but at the same time, you can be grateful for what happened because of who you are now, that you learned from those experiences.
Oh boy, the two sides of the coin, that you can have two feelings. You can have a bunch of feelings at once, but I think people think they can't have those two feelings. You can't be upset and be grateful at the same time. And it's really, I think it's mandatory. Yeah. And the other part that I think also is to stay recriminating against the other person is unhealthy, and to stay recriminating against yourself is unhealthy. That you look at, well, what did they do? And how would you not choose that again? How would you find out sooner? Or, wow, gosh, I'm really make you even more grateful that you're not with them if they're that kind of a person. And then stop being recriminating about yourself. Wow, yeah, I did that, or I didn't know that, or I chose that, or I didn't choose that. And now what am I going to do differently? That to follow it up with that question and to really get to forgiveness, because that is the hardest part I have found. I've had 2 clients this week that we've worked on the forgiving themselves, to let themselves off the hook, because they were just beating themselves up about something that they'd done. And I said, really? Do you think you've done enough now? Because yeah, I get it. I get what upset you. And now I think it's time to stop. I really do. And move on. What do you think?
I would definitely agree with that. One of my clients I was talking to this on last week, she hasn't got there yet. We're still in the journey of sort of seeing where things lie, because she's in the middle of choosing in or out of the relationship, in or out of the marriage. And it feels like it's like more and more with choosing out is the only path, but she's scared of what's on the other side of that. And so we haven't got to forgiveness yet. And the recognition is that, we all have our own journeys, and how we navigate that is up to us. But the key thing is, as I said earlier, is the relationship to ourselves is most important. And as you said about forgiveness is one of those things that people don't really don't understand its real power. Because some people look at forgiveness saying, well, it's so I can let the other person off the hook. It's like, no, forgiveness is to let yourself off the hook. I talked about before about, I love the Richard Bach book, Running from Safety, which is a story about him learning how to forgive himself and the judgments he carried against his younger self. And to get really blatant about it, I've said also, I was talking about this yesterday, we're talking about the relationship with God and spirit, and if you have that sort of relationship, whatever that is. And some people look at God as being the thing you go to get forgiveness. Like, God forgives, it's not up to me, it's up to God. You plead and beg for God or Jesus' forgiveness. And I say, no, that doesn't happen. And what do you mean? So I said, God doesn't forgive. And they're like, what do you mean God doesn't forgive? And I say, no, because God doesn't judge us. We do. It's all human. And so if we judge ourselves, then we are the ones who have to forgive ourselves, because it's that sort of resolution and completion we can have. Because all those, as you were saying, like, the blame or the shame or the judgments or the guilt or resentment, all those different negative things we do to ourselves, because the other person is probably unaware of it. If you go through a breakup and you do no communication, they have no clue what you're going through, but you're doing it all to yourself. So your choice is, do you want to carry that, or do you want to let it go? And forgiveness is the vehicle to do that. Self-forgiveness is the key to do that.
It really is. Forgiving yourself. It's sometimes the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you also touched on a really important point, that what's next? We're worried, real worry, that there won't be somebody else. There won't be a next person. And knowing that there's still you, knowing that you can depend on you. And do you have a support system along with you? Do you have friends? Do you have birth family? Do you have family of choice people that you can now depend on from before, and still to be there as a comfort, to still have people to do things with, that you're not going to be all alone? Because it's still not the same thing as having a personal romantic love. That's true. And it's lovely to have people that are a support group, and that you still have fun things to go do with them. Because I think we think it's all or nothing, and that is terrifying. And I can see why, if people think that, they don't want to ever leave, and they'll hold on to something that isn't the best for them for dear life, because they think it will be nothing.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing, is that people have this really unfortunate tendency to limit themselves, but also to punish themselves unnecessarily. And I know some of the dating experience for this past year, and I'm not talking about big topic stuff now, but reality is, every single instance we have in a relationship, dating or otherwise, even swiping on the apps and getting disappointed because the person didn't swipe you back, that sort of thing, we have opportunities to remember who we are. Because it's so tempting to go, oh, damn, I should have been, or if only been this, or all these other things. And it becomes this self-flagellation, basically. We're beating ourselves up. You don't have to do that. This whole journey of dating and relationships is really, in a lot of ways, to discover more about who you really are, and to discover how much love you have. So if you don't get what you want, Why stop doing that? Why not have more love and be caring about yourself when you're single? Because frankly, as we talked about in other episodes, the more you care about yourself, the more attractive you become. So it works in your favor. Now, of course, as we said at the beginning of the show, Thanksgiving can bring up all sorts of stuff with family, which is another conversation we might talk about later in the show. But this is talking about your own personal dating experience. So let's stick to this one for now.
Thank you. And I do believe that we're often more liable to talk about and think about the things that didn't work out when we're thinking about past relationships and why we broke up and why they left us and why we left them. And sure, have at it. Make a whole list, write all the things that didn't work. Because Barry and I would both suggest that you now say, what would you like instead? And then also make a list of why did you stay? There must have been good reasons that you were attracted to them. You wanted to be with them. There must have been good things that they said about you that caused you to want to go out with them and stay with them. Please write them down too, because we often discount them. We often forget them. We often put them aside when our heart is hurt and we're so mad or disappointed or frustrated. So yes, be all that, and write all the good things too, because I want you to be grateful, Barry, and I want you to come up with all the grateful things too, because it's too easy to get into the doldrums. It's too easy to think, oh, it's all awful and horrible, and I'm a horrible person, and everybody else is a horrible person. And the holidays make us vulnerable for a whole bunch of reasons. Who knows how you celebrated or didn't when you were growing up? There's still some of those wounds. Who knows what's happened to you throughout your life about the holidays? Maybe they were fabulous and now they're not. Maybe they were horrible and you had great ones and now they're not. Now you have this moment in time to adjust. Let's adjust the meter. So right now, this moment, we're suggesting that you look back over just this year and write down all the good things that did happen, because there has to be some good things in your relationships, in your dating. Yes. And really work at it. Come on, work at it. And you haven't figured out how to do that. Barry and I would be happy to even work on that list with you, right?
Absolutely. I mean, the truth is, yes, that list doesn't have to be just about your dating experience, but why not include that? Because it's sometimes we look at our calendar year and go, what we're thankful for, and doesn't include this. But frankly, why not include your dating experience? Again, good, bad, or indifferent. Anything that you've had in your relationship experience, dating experience over the last year, can be looked through a positive lens, not as a Pollyanna perspective, but from a holistic perspective, from your wholeness and your joyfulness, as we already said. And we'll say a lot more about this after the break, I know. But before we get there, you want to do a little self-promotion?
Yes, we're all about adding in a little self-promotion, right? We're grateful for that.
Yes, indeed.
We're grateful for our sponsors that are going to come up next. So if this is resonating with you at all and you'd like to learn how to be grateful for the past year of your dating experiences, Barry and I would be so happy to help you with that. And the best way to reach me is to go to my website, which is www.theperfectcatch.com. Scroll to the middle of my page and click on the questionnaire about what's holding you back from love. Answer 10 brief questions about where you are and where you'd like to be. And then you have access to my calendar to schedule a complimentary conversation with me. And you can also email me at Christine@theperfectcatch. And how do people reach you, Barry?
Similarly to Christine, I have a website which also has a link to my calendar. So on the homepage of my website, which is barryselby.com, at the top of the screen is a little button you click, which is Let's Chat. That takes you to my calendar. When you schedule a conversation, it's a 20-minute video chat we have over Zoom, or some other platform. We'll figure it out if we need to. And you fill out a form that's also self-reflective. I'll use that term. So really look at where you are, where you want to go, what's going on, and then we have a conversation. Because frankly, you don't want to work with me necessarily. You want to find out if I can work with you, but also I know who I want to work with. So it's a two-way conversation. That's the whole point of doing this. And it's a gift from me to you. So it doesn't cost you anything, just some time. So do that if you want to. Also, you want to drop me an email, you will send one to barry@barryselby.com. And we'll tell you all about our social media stuff and everything at the end of the episode. But this will give you a good starting point.
And we're so grateful for our sponsors, the National Widowers Organization and the newstreamingnetwork.com. So we're going to hear from them, and then we'll come back and talk more about how you can be thankful for your dating experiences. And let's talk dating with Christine and Barry. We'll be right back.
See you in a moment.
The National Widowers Organization is a men's grief network. Our website serves as a virtual toolbox of free resources for men coping with the death of a loved one, whether a spouse, parent, a child, or lifelong friend. Our goal is to bring men together and arm them with as much information as possible to get through a devastating time in their lives. The NWO has a team of bereavement specialists and fellow widowers to help support you. You are not alone. For more info, go to nationalwidowers.org.
Thank you again to our sponsors. And now we're back with Let's Talk Dating with Christine and Barry. And today we're talking about how you can be thankful for your dating experiences. Because I believe that the more grateful you are, the more positive you're going to be going out into the world thinking about dating, and the more positive you're going to feel about, well, I'm doing okay. I've done some good things. I was brave. Look the things I did. I actually thought about using online dating. Wow, I even made a profile and I looked at some profiles. I even went to a couple meetups. I went on a couple dates. I mean, really, pat yourself on the back if you thought about it. If you did anything, if you talked to anybody, I mean, really, whatever you did was very brave. Because I'll tell you, there's lots of people that don't do any of it. So if you did even thought about it, Barry and I think you were very brave, right?
Absolutely. In fact, I also want to say from the other perspective for a second, because it looked like some of the first dates I've been on, because I'm single, so I was on the dating apps as well. And I'm definitely grateful for some of the ones I said no to. Just because that's the other side of the coin. So yes, you can be thinking, I missed out, I didn't get the love I wanted. Well, the truth is, if you avoided maybe some, what's what I'm looking for, crash and burn experiences, you may have chosen a better path. And because the thing I said, so actually a friend of mine yesterday I was talking to, he's going through some stuff and said, there's nothing wrong with being single. In fact, sometimes being single is the healthiest choice you can make. And so if you say no to somebody who's not honoring you the way you want to be honored, and you say no, you walk away from that, that's something to be thankful for, because you've chosen a better path. And as much as we talk about dating, that's what the show's about. Let's talk dating. It's also about, what do you learn from it? Not that you have to be dating all the time, or you got to find your perfect love the first time you go out. It's about making the healthiest choices for yourself. And sometimes being single for a period of time is the healthiest choice you can make. So be grateful for that.
Well, and along that line, that you're now making different choices. If you had a pattern of picking people that weren't right for you and whatever that was, and now you said, wow, they showed up and I said, no, thank you. That's a huge win. Not that you started picking different people. You're not there yet, but you're not picking the same people that weren't right for you. Please accept that that's a huge win for you. That's huge. Because you need to have nobody for a little while when you decide to not pick the people that weren't right for you. You don't just start picking the right people generally. You stop picking the wrong people first. And people don't realize that's a conscious step. You're doing something. They think they're doing nothing. No, you're doing something, right, Barry?
This is fundamental, frankly, because the thing is, I know with some of the clients I was working with currently, but clients in the past, I had to almost have them stop dating, period, because they were so addicted to the dating process and being in the process of dating, thinking that if they keep swiping enough times, they go on enough dates, they'll find the right one. And it's like, it was draining their energy. It wasn't healthy. So as you said, and I agree with you, having time to be alone is the healthiest choice you make, because frankly, the relationship you have with yourself is the most important relationship you're ever going to have anyway. So want to invest some time and energy in making that healthy and strong. So when you do go on dates, you now know what qualities you say yes to, and also what level you play at, so you don't settle for less than you deserve.
Yeah. Breaking a habit is very challenging, and choosing to not have that habit, which is why they have AA and Al-Anon, and they really work hard at not choosing a habit. So
Right.
I want people to take credit for not choosing to go out with somebody that's the same that they did before. And I'm not saying even the other person is a bad person necessarily. They're just not right for you. They might be the perfect person for the other person. It's so funny. I've had that conversation a couple of times in the last couple of weeks about, yes, they have this trait that's so wrong for you, but can you imagine if they met somebody that trait was really right for them? How lovely if they met each other. They're so not who you would pick or I would pick, but I've met people that they could really get along just fine. So that you're not picking them anymore, please give yourself credit. Please give yourself credit, but you're not in a place to start picking the person that's right for you yet. So my friend Sandy, I've quoted her a couple of times. She used to call it, you're just in between chairs. And I have to tell you, that space feels really uncomfortable because you like being all settled in your little comfy chair. But if you're going to be between chairs, just be between chairs, right?
Absolutely. And it can be an interesting place, yes. And I've been single a long time, so I find it very comfortable. In fact, I've had that conversation with friends too, but how can you be that way? It's like, I find it very comfortable, very aligned. I take care of myself. I honor myself. I do the things I want to do. And it does make it less desirable to just date for the sake of dating. But it also makes it clear that when I do date, I do set the bar or the choice much higher, much more aligned, because I know what I really want. And it's the thing about doing that is that part of the time you spend alone, you start getting clear about what you want rather than trying to fit in somebody else's box. And that isn't necessarily what people think is the right way. As you said, there's several times we talked about things that sound controversial to the most of the population because they're not ready for this level of self-awareness and understanding. And yet dating consciously, dating intentionally, which we talked about quite a few times over the show, over the span of our shows, we have many of those we'll tell you about at the end of this show, the journey we go through, the transformation we go through, the evolution we go through is something we'd never get any other way. So to take our, let's say medicine, but take the lessons from what we go through in a relationship, because sometimes, yes, we come out wounded from breakups and everything else too. I'm not saying dating is easy or it's always fun. If you come out of bad dates you've had with some emotionally painful experience, it didn't work out the way you wanted to. Once you've had a chance to nurse your wounds, lick your wounds, so to speak, recognize the gratitude you have for the fact that, one, you survived it, two, you got clear what doesn't work for you, and three, how you can realign your vision for where you want to go. And so it's like you can take any experience ultimately and shift it into gratitude as well. It's not going to be a piece of cake every time, just to be clear. So, but it's worth doing the work to get there, because gratitude is a massive self-support system, as you were saying. And yes, when you are grateful, life gets so much easier because you bring gratitude to everything you do, and that is wonderful in dating or even at Thanksgiving with your family. Yes, even there, but in life in general, So gratitude is a good piece to have.
And you sparked a thought in me that part of what I have found when I've started feeling even more grateful is that I now feel grateful that I include people that enhance my life, and I find that I enhance theirs. That when it's that reciprocity, that we're, whether it's friends or family or a potential romantic interest, that you're bringing something really important to each other's lives. That when you come with that gratefulness, that I want to bring this to you, what do you think? And what do you want to bring to me? And are you willing to step up and do the work that I want to do? Are you willing to do this work? And that it feels like an enhancement. That's what it feels like to me, that you get because we've talked about this right at the beginning and in lots of podcasts about getting yourself to your best place as your single person, and that this relationship of whatever kind it is, friends, family, romantic, that it's now going to just make an enhancement, and that it adds to you, it adds to them, and it creates this even better third thing, so that you can't even imagine not including this, that the way that it works makes the world a better place. Ultimately, that's my goal. That's how I always feel about our podcast, that what we bring together, we couldn't do separately. We do our separate thing, but what we do together just, I think, makes the world a better place. And I'm really grateful. I'm really thankful for it, Barry. I just wanted to say.
Yeah.
And so that if you bring that to your dating experience with another person, that you don't spend time with people that it doesn't feel that way for you and it doesn't feel that way for them. And if you look at what did you now get from other people that's caused you to now go, yeah, this is what I want next. This is what I now have learned that's brought the desire in me to bring enhancement to them and them bring enhancement to me. And if it's not there, then it's not my person. It's a really nice vetting thing, don't you think?
Oh yeah, absolutely. The thing that, and we're going to keep coming back to this, about gratitude and thankfulness is so key, because as I said in other shows as well, the more grateful you are, the more it shows on your face, the more you become attractive, you become noticeable. So the other way most people date is going from one date to the next date, and it's almost they're going through desperation. And frankly, desperation is not a very attractive quality to wear. And or should I say another way? Neediness sucks. I have been both the giver and receiver of that. So I know from both sides of the conversation, it's not fun to have that. So having gratitude and being in a place of wholeness because you are grateful for who you are, yes, it makes you more attractive. It makes you less attached as well to having to find somebody, which is also a good thing, because when your hooks are out trying to find somebody, people feel that and they don't want to be around it. So gratitude is really the solvent or the salve to help you feel more whole, more happy, more fulfilled. And if nothing else, at Thanksgiving, being the theme we're in the moment for the American audience at least, having gratitude is one of the cornerstones of having a healthy life and to have a healthy dating experience, because you bring gratitude to everything you do. And so the funny thing is when you're grateful, when you go on dates, even if it doesn't work out, they leave better off than they started, because you've sort of shared some of that gratitude with them. So it can be contagious in a good way. So be grateful, it's worth it.
So with that in mind, and we did mention it a little bit in the beginning, and Barry mentioned it at the break, whoever it is you choose to spend your Thanksgiving time with, if that's what you're going to be doing, and certainly what I'm going to be doing, think about whether you decide to say it or not. Why are you with those people that day? Is it because you feel obligated? Is that fulfilling something to you that it's good? You don't want to regret that you didn't spend time with them that day. It's 1 day a year, 2 times a year that you go spend time with them because you feel obligated. Okay. Does it assuage you to not feel guilty the rest of the year? Be grateful about that. Is it that you really, when I don't fly to my family, which is infrequent, I have 2 groups of people that are so excited that I come and see them for my private breakfast in the morning and my Thanksgiving meal in the evening. They call me family. I'm so grateful. They say, the reason we call you family is that you walk in the door, no knocking, no doorbell ringing. You are family. It just makes my heart sing, both these sets of people. So yeah. I can't imagine not spending my time with them. It makes me get emotional because I feel so cared about by them. So I feel so grateful, and I tell them all throughout the year, but it's certainly that they include me in their Thanksgiving time. So if you have that, please go and say that. And if not, then do a Friendsgiving, gather people together, or go give at a place so that you now feel that you could say, I'm great. I'm thankful for this experience that I'm having for myself. Or cook yourself a beautiful meal, or take yourself to the movies. Go see Wicked. I can't wait to see Wicked. Boy, is it getting mixed reviews. Oh my God. So what's your advice for people about family and friends and what in the heck to do to help themselves be thankful?
Well, you've covered it so well. I'm thinking if I can add anything to it, because personally for me, because coming from England, I never knew what Thanksgiving was until I came to the States. But since I've been here for many years, it is part of my own journey and experience. I have a regular group of people I go to have Thanksgiving with. It's a friend's family. So it's friends and family, so to speak. And I've known them for, it's probably been doing it for the last 8 years now. And I love it because it is like a known experience, welcomed in family dynamics. We all bring our dishes to the thing. It's a lot of fun. And I always try to up-level each time what I bring, just to bring more excitement to the thing. But I also have a challenge because one of the people in the group, like, I love spicy food, and the other one of the people who doesn't have spicy food. So I'm actually I was thinking about on the hike this morning, because I make the dish I make this year, which is a fun side dish, but it usually has cayenne pepper and it has hot honey in it as well. So I'm going to actually make a separate small version before I put that stuff in, just for her. So that way I don't have to give up for everybody else enjoying the hotness and the spice and the flavor of that side dish, but she gets what she wants. So that feels like fun to do. And so I'm grateful because I'm figuring out a way to do it that works for me. So, but I love this. I mean, I love this time because it is a very thankful, joyful experience. Everyone's around. We know each other. It's fun. And we'll pitch in, and there's setting up, breaking down, all that stuff. And the kids are there, or the teens now. They're all probably almost 20. Some of them are in college. But we also have this tradition of a card game at the end of the dinner, which I think was made up by one of the kids. But we played it for years, and it's a card game. We'll get around, we just do it and pile in, and it's just there's like 13, 14 of us in this game. It's because nobody stays for the whole thing. But it's just that silliness of connection and playfulness, and the game is never cutthroat. It's always silly and playful that we do this, and so it just becomes the icing on the cake for the whole thing. And of course, there are desserts too. There's pies, so there's lots to be grateful for. And so for me, Thanksgiving is a wonderful time, and it's just time to switch off from everything else. I get to just play and be relaxed and enjoy company, and it is something that I definitely bring gratitude for. And we do go around the table and just say what we're grateful for. It's another thing you can do is if you're around the table with other people, or if you're looking in the mirror, if you're on your own, what are you grateful for? Just do that for today, for the month, for the year as you want, and just see what that does for you.
Oh, the fellowship. It's what I mean. I am about the food. I am not making bones about it. I am about the food.
Yeah.
And I'm lactose intolerant, and they do little things for me. And it touched me that you said that, because it's so thoughtful that they do that. But the fellowship and the companionship is just, it's the best. So what's the card game? Because I love playing games.
I can't remember what the game's called. It's basically a game where and it may be a game that's out there. I don't know. I know I played it before, but it's a game basically where you deal out the cards, and it starts at whatever the highest number of cards is you can get around the whole. And I think it's usually done with 2 decks. I can't remember because there's so many people in the thing. So you give out all the cards until you go all the way around. And the idea being is that you have a trump card, and then the idea is you have to guess. It's like bridge, but not bridge, because you have to guess how many tricks you're going to get. But it's with how many people, with 13 people, it's like you're going to get maybe 1 or 2 if you're lucky. But then you've got to make sure you get what you ask. You declare what you're going to have, and if you get them, you get the points. And if you don't get anything, you lose points. It's a points-based game. It's a lot of fun. The game is something like, it's either murder or death or something. It's really a really silly name for it. It's one of these games like you can't. It's not like bridge. It's like bridge is played with tricks and with trumps and such, but it's much simpler and sillier. For sure.
Oh, I love silly, because I'm not very competitive, but I love playing games.
Yeah, this is fun.
So a game recommendation too. So we are thankful for all of you, and would be so happy to talk to you. And yes, happy Thanksgiving Day. And boy, we'd love to talk to you. And if you would like to talk to us, here's how to do that. Yes. So as I mentioned, go to my website, sign up to talk to me. It's complimentary. Fill out the questionnaire. Go to my website. It'll take you to my online calendar. You get a complimentary conversation with me. No strings attached. We see if we'd like to talk to each other, kind of like a first date. Mm-hmm. And then also on my website, you can go to the very top and click on my ebook, and it's free. I'd love to hear what you think about when you read the book, what was helpful, and what would you like me to include in my 2.0 book that I'm working on. You can also join my mailing list. You'll get a repeat of the podcast every week, delivered to your mailbox. And you also will find out what's going on. First of the year, I'm going to have some new things going on. You can also scroll to the bottom and click on all my social media of Facebook and LinkedIn and Instagram and Twitter and Pinterest and YouTube. And if you click on YouTube, today is 260 ding, 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 ding of our podcast that Barry and I've been working on. Yes, we would be so happy for you to watch all of them. And you can also send me an email at Christine@theperfectcatch. Tell people about you, Barry.
Well, sure. Similar to Christine, as I said at the beginning on the break, I have a website you can go to. And on my website, first of all, you can definitely get my calendar at the top with the Let's Chat button. There are 2 other things on the homepage I want to tell you about. One is at the bottom of the page. You can join my email list directly, putting your name and email in there, and you become in my audience. So you get my weekly emails and everything else I'm talking about. So I send out a replay of this show to my audience every week, and I'm working on other things too. The program I was going to relaunch in December, I'm actually pushing back to January, which is the Emotional Sovereignty Program, which I did mention before. I have a waiting list for that. So if you do want to join that list to find out more about it, if you're on my email list, you'll get that. Sorry, I'm checking where the connection is. If you get on my email list, you'll get a link on the email, which is how to sign up for the wait list. In the middle of the screen is the first of my 2 assessment quizzes I created. One of them is a relationship readiness assessment, which is the first button you can click on right in the middle of the screen, which is take the quiz. That basically gives you a chance to look at your dating experience, your dating focus, what works for you, what doesn't work for you. gives you a nice little summary email with a score, what's one looking for, a rating scale, so you know how you've done. The other one, which is hidden, so you have to type in the address for this, which is barryselby.com/self-quiz, which you may figure from the title pretty obviously, is a self-assessment quiz. And that basically is, how's your relationship with yourself? That basically is a bigger, more intensive and much more deep dive into your own relationship with yourself. And because of that, you get a whole downloadable PDF document that goes with it. It gives you a whole bunch of guidance, steps, keys, and feedback on where you are and where you want to go. So before you even look at dating, so you get clear where you want to go in the first place. That's when it goes directly, the link as was on the screen, but also I told you verbally, so you know what it is. My book's on my website, which you go to barryselby.com/book, or you click on the button through navigation. That's when you get my best-selling book that's been out for quite a while now, called 50 Ways to Love Your Lover. If you want to hear about the book, on the top of that page, there's a little audio track you can click on, which is a 12, 13-minute AI-generated discussion book about my book by two well-versed voices who know my book well. So if you want to get a preview of my book, listen to that little audio first, and then go back, get a book on Amazon or through that page on my website. Social media-wise, you can find me on all the platforms. My name is my handle on YouTube, so Barry Selby on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Pinterest, Blue Sky, and on Instagram and Threads, it's The Real Barry Selby, and you find me all over the place, but definitely YouTube, same as Christine. I have tons of videos over there. I have over 1,500 videos on YouTube now. So if you want to follow more stuff I do and replay to this show, check me out on YouTube for sure.
And we'd love for you to watch us live here on 1 o'clock Pacific and 4 o'clock Eastern, and all the times in between, because you could ask us questions live and we'll answer them. Then you can watch us on Roku or on YouTube on any of your devices, but you can take us with you, right, Barry?
Absolutely. This show is now a podcast as well as being a video show. So you can listen to us wherever you go with your podcast platform, be it Apple, Spotify, or any other platform you listen to podcasts on. So, which is great, because the challenge with video is you can't watch and drive. Don't do that. But you can listen and drive. So if you're driving or bike riding or hiking or shopping or going where you're going, wherever you go, put us in your pocket and listen to us through your earbuds and listen to our show and get tuned up and turned on about love and dating and relationships.
Tuned up and turned on. And please share us with your friends, write a review, like us, and subscribe. And we will see you next week with another fun, interesting subject about dating and relationships.
Have a wonderful Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.
Happy Thanksgiving. Bye.